Okay. All right, guys. Welcome to the call. Guys, I'm super excited. It's kind of funny. I was up at I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, which was midnight in California. And my guest tonight, Nicholas, and we were messaging back and forth. He's like, dude, isn't it like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning there where you are in Florida? And so, dude, when you're excited, you're excited. Not that we can't sleep, because we can sleep, but I thought you might like my shirt today, bro. Just saying, Calvin, nice red shirt, my brother, and my tag. Hey, Wendy, how you doing? You guys, as you guys come on, just stop your cameras if you can, like normal. So let's do this. Let's get started. I'm going to introduce my guest first, and then I'm going to unmute him, and I'm going to let him take over. Guys, Lisa and we haven't stopped talking since I got home. I got connected with Nicholas, wow, probably about two weeks ago. It's not been that long. One of the reasons I really liked him is that I just did my research. I'm a researcher. Hey, us scientists, we are research geeks, right? So we see something and we just research. And so I just liked him. You can see some of the thing. Nicholas Bayerle is the CEO of Billion Dollar Body. Like, that's what I'm talking about, right? He's an international speaker, a coach. He happens to be 26 years old. He was voted by Forbes magazine as one of the top most influential people under the age of 30. Wow, how about that, brother? That's exciting. And just a good guy. We have a lot. We realized that we have more in common than we thought when we first got to know each other. He went to Bethel School of Ministry. My wife and I are huge Bill Johnson fans, and I know Nicholas is too. But he's a man of God also, and we know that behind every good man is an even better woman. Mine sits across the table from me tonight, and I put a little Ohio State sticker down there because, you know, he knows how we do these things. Our wives, we marry up, and we're blessed. And Nicholas is married to his soulmate and business partner, Amanda. So I had him on tonight. I want him to tell his story. You guys need to hear this guy's story. So what I'm going to do is I am going to turn it over to him, and I'm going to let him share his story and who he is. Nicholas, brother, I love you. I bless you, and the floor is yours, brother. Have at it.
Thanks, Michael. I really appreciate that. Michael and Calvin are great leaders. It was awesome to see them and get connected. And obviously, I really think that money follows speed. Money is really just a tool. As you get to know me, it's something that we can do to make a bigger impact in the world. And what I saw is Michael take action, Calvin take action really quickly. And generally, people that take action quickly on one thing generally take action quickly on other things as well. And it was really cool to see them just really lead by example, because there's some people that lead by talking, and there's some people that teach by talking, and there's other people that go out there and do it. And the combination of the two, of someone that's able to teach by talking while they actually do it, is really a great person to actually follow. So these are definitely two guys right here. Those are the only ones that I know that are on the call that I believe. And it was just awesome to really connect with you two and take a relationship that much deeper into the next level. And also for everyone here, the fact that your leaders are out there investing in themselves to go to that next level, to be a better leader, is already something that makes you go, okay, great. These are great people to be around. And I talk a lot about mentors and how to find them and follow them. How do you choose one? And that's a big topic that I'd love to touch on. But hey, Michael, how much time do I have to tell my story? I definitely don't want to. As much as I want, even on mute, I can read his mouth as much as you want. Great. Well, I'm Nicholas Bayerle in our office right now. This is one of them here in Temecula, California. 25 actually years old, which is even younger. As Michael said, I was rated top 30 under 30 by one publication, then also top 21 influencers in the world. But it didn't always go that way for me. These are big publications as well. They get multi-million people of traffic every single month. At 2 years old, I started off really well. I actually was the youngest kid in the world to start racing bicycles. My dad just pushed me down the hill, and I didn't have any training wheels, and I ended up being able to ride at 2. And so I ended up being the youngest kid at 2 and a little bit of change to actually go on a bicycle track with pedals. And so that was a great lesson I learned from my dad. My dad told me that why would I ever have you use something that you're ultimately not going to use in the future? Right now, they're just a crutch that's keeping you from learning balance, but it's also keeping you from falling. I'd rather see you fall and learn how to balance and actually be able to do something that you're going to do in the future. You're never going to ride with training wheels in the future, so why start now? And I pretty much lived my life that way from that point. At 5 years old, I got a motorcycle. I decided that I was going to be the best motocross racer in the world. For some reason, when I heard Ricky Bobby at the time, I didn't grow up in a church or anything like that. He said, if you're not first, you're last. I agreed. I totally thought that that was exactly how you're supposed to live your life. So I ended up growing up thinking that if I was in first, then I was last. I think through my nutrition and some of the things I was thinking, my parents split up when I was 4. My stepmom moved in 2 months later. Then I had a stepdad, so I had family all over the place. And through that process, I realized that that this life wasn't that great at the time. So at 7 years old, I actually wrote my first suicide letter that I wanted to die and just kill myself because of things that were going on in my family. And my parents actually found that, and still we never talked about it to this day, really. We just always forget. But they found it a long time ago. And I just realized that, man, there's emotional states that go up and down, and a lot of it had to do with my environment, had to do with my nutrition, had to do with the people that were around me and the way that they were acting. So around 9 years old, my dad actually came out and told me, he's always a business owner, and so is my uncle. And my dad came out and told me if I just had a weed whacker and a lawnmower, I would always make it. So it was my first little thought of entrepreneurship, and also the fact that, like, there's no way to fail. The worst thing that could ever happen on the planet is just that everything fails for you. You get out and you go and provide a service to someone down the street, and a bunch of them down the street to actually get paid. And you have full control over what's money's coming in. No one has control over you. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea. But Dad, I want to be a professional athlete. Enough with this business stuff. My dad really pushed me into business when I was 12. He says, man, why don't you do this? Come on, there's so much opportunity around. So I started my first company, which was Nick's Lawn Care. And we did lawn services. And then we also, blew off the front yard and cut all the weeds and all this stuff. And at that point, me and my friends were making $250 a week. And I was able to buy motorcycles and do all these other things through just mowing lawns. So I did that for a little bit until it just got too crazy. Imagine a kid who literally can't even drive a car, has to get driven around everywhere by other people's trucks to be able to mow lawns. So from there, I ended up at 13 years old saying, Dad, I want to be the best motocross racer in the whole world. How do we do this? Let's do it. And I remember to this day, I walked out of my actual bedroom. My dad walked through the hall. I followed him from behind him, obviously. And I followed him down into the garage, out into the backyard. Right before we got into the backyard, I said, Dad, I want to be the best. This was one of the most vulnerable moments of my whole life at the time. The reason I go into this is there's a real good point to it, is that it was one of the most vulnerable moments. I tell my dad, I want to be the best. He turns around, he looks at me and says, you'll never be the best. And it crushed me. And in one moment, I went from literally being fully committed, thinking I want to be the best, to 100% giving up. And my life shifted in one moment for the negative. That one shift caused me to go through all at high school without one girlfriend. I graduated with a 1.8 GPA. I went to summer school every single summer. I got 60 pounds overweight, and I had no destiny or purpose for my entire life. As you heard from Michael a little bit earlier, at 18, that totally changed. I first met someone who had a plan in health, and that one guy was a boxer. I followed that plan to a T by myself, along with starving myself at the time because I didn't have great resources like you guys have here, people that have already been there, done that. And so I starved myself, lost 60 pounds in 6 months. That gave me the confidence to actually go out and start talking to my dad again, to reconnect. I didn't feel ashamed about myself. I felt like I could go out there and actually be myself again, because being in an overweight state, I didn't feel like I was actually being who God had created me to be. At the time, I didn't know why I felt that way. But around 18 years old, my whole life changed because, again, I realized that God was real and that he wanted me to have a big impact on the earth. As soon as I turned 18 and this happened, I wanted to go from being called Nick to Nicholas. Everyone asks me, can I call you Nick? And I say, absolutely not. Nick, it means victory. And that's great. And I wondered, why do I keep wanting to be called Nicholas? I've been called Nick my whole life. I never liked Nicholas. At 18 years old, I realized, I looked up and I said, what does Nicholas mean in Google? I bet a lot of you guys here love Google because they have great answers. And it says victory of the people. And I noticed that I'd gone through my whole life with everyone speaking victory over my life. And then as soon as I actually got it, they started speaking Nicholas, and I wanted that. And it meant victory of the people. And that's exactly why I'm in front of you guys today. So through that process, I also found my wife that we knew we were going to get married before we even started dating. And that process of getting married then led us into our destiny together at 20 and 18, where we started our first health company. And from there have obviously transformed into helping male entrepreneurs and influencers since they were, I noticed when I drank Coke when I was a little kid, I didn't do it because I was following the 10,000th employee at Verizon. Nothing wrong with it. They have their own sphere, but that wasn't the person that was impacting me. It was the person that was out there leading a company. It was the person out there that was in the Olympics. It was those people that were out there setting a bad example that I ended up following anyway. So I thought if I could help influence those top achievers examples, and on top of that, they say those are the hardest people to influence in the world. I think they're the easiest. And they end up influencing other one because why? Because people like Michael and Calvin, they lead by example. They set the pace for the team. The speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. And so I've been able to go through that to create freedom in my life, freedom in many other people's lives. I've been able to create multiple seven figures for other people throughout the last couple of years. And a lot of people that I've helped a lot of people make a lot more money than I do. And I think that's the test of a true leader, is to let the team members with them rise to higher heights than they are. And a sign of a not true leader is one that always wants to be a little bit higher than everyone else. So from there, Michael, if anyone has any questions about anything, I don't want to sit here and quote unquote toot my own horn too much, but I also want to give you guys context on what I've done in my life, and so that I can impart anything to you guys to have you go out there and make a greater impact, have a lot more fun, obviously make a lot more money, and do it with a lot more structure as well.
Awesome. So I'll just step in and ask you a couple questions. How about that? So Please. Why don't you talk about, and because I'm going to have Calvin come on after this and just talk a little bit. This is mostly my team and some of Calvin's team, but it's talk about the brotherhood. Talk about, we hear it all our life, right? Like we hear, we're the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. We always thought that was like, oh, that's just a saying. No one really believes that, right? And I have to tell you, Calvin and I talked about it the whole time. I was in the top 5% of my industry for over 20 years, and I was broke. And you begin to, we live in a country where people have that mentality that that's just the way they're supposed to be. They were created to, like, you didn't share this, but like Nicholas was shampooing carpets and cleaning carpets for his dad's company, making $1,800 a month. And
that was actually my best month, by the way. I just didn't want people to think I was lying. I think 12 to 15 the majority of the time.
Well, it's just funny, but you were the brick and mortar grinding out things, and there's wise people that have been successful that have never reached that potential. Let's just get real. I'm connecting with a kid that can be my son. No joke, but you can be my son. I'm just saying, I'm going to be 49 years old tomorrow. So, it's just talk a little bit about the brotherhood, about how you thought about that, how it connects like-minded people, and the influence that connecting with those type of people has made in your life and can make in other people's life.
Just because you're that old, Mike. That's all that has to do.
Oh, now here we go. Now,
young, just saying.
Okay,
that's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah. So obviously I've been through a lot of rough times throughout the process, and I realized that every single failure that I've had, I've been able to track it through history. I always look at what my teacher would tell me back in high school. He'd say, the problem with history is it always repeats itself. And because the people, they forget what happened in the past. They don't remember what happened. They keep repeating the same mistake over and over again. So I was trying to get that to stop happening. I go all the way back to Jesus. I look at my example from there. I go from 2,000 years ago and I work my way forward. And I try to see the things that he did that created success. And also I look at people's failures as well, because it's kind of hard to find tons of failures with what Jesus did. And sometimes, for some of us, we need to look at some failures every once in a while to figure out, I know what works right, but I also want to see kind of what doesn't work. And I realized that every single guy that I've met and coached, so our ticket prices in our health company that we've been able to grow $1 billion body and what built up this entire thing called $1 Billion Brotherhood, I've personally coached 632 of our one-on-one clients. These one-on-one clients paid anywhere between $3,000 and $12,500, and so I was really connected to them. They spent a lot of time. I was talking to them every couple of weeks. They had access to me, and through that process, I was able to see through all these men, 600 of them, what was making them fail, what was making them succeed. And I noticed there was two different types of guys out there, and this applies to women as well. And the women actually will be like, yeah, I already knew that, because they're like, I know exactly what's going on. So, and because community works with everyone, and women typically create it easier than men, which is why I'm out there creating a mission and a purpose in that. I noticed that what happens is generally there's two types of people. There's people that feel like they can have community when they're succeeding, and then when they fail, they go back into the grind by themselves, and they work really hard, and they don't respond to anyone until they feel like they've created enough success to get back in the community again. And then there's the other person that only goes into community when they fail. And then they get into the community when they fail, and they start asking for help again. And then right when they get to a place of they're back to comfort, they just end up leaving you and not talking to you again. And I noticed that no matter what, they were both creating this fail cycle where it says that to recreate the success, this is taught a lot in your company, I'm assuming, is that you want to keep doing the things that got you successful in the first place. You never want to do all the hard stuff, and then once you start reaching success, stop doing all the things that you did to get there. And I noticed this was happening, and I knew the number one reason for it was because men didn't have this like-minded community. And I even reference all the way back to Hitler. I don't endorse anything that he does, but I look at what he does and I go, well, there was something that happened that made him rise to power. So I honor the fact that somehow he got to a level of leadership that I've never been to before. Never experienced it. Obama never experienced it. Trump never experienced it. I've never been there. So I have to honor leadership, 100%. But I look at that and I go, what made him go off the deep end? I realized that he didn't have those mentors, and he didn't have those solid 5 people around him. It even got to the point where I interviewed a friend, John Spencer Ellis, that spoke at our live event. He's employed over 500,000 people through his personal training certificate. I think it's NESDA.
NESDA,
yeah. And so after talking to him, we realized that he actually had a study that if you took the 5 people that people around right now, so as long as you didn't just up-level your friend group and just join this team, if you just join the team, this doesn't apply to you. But for the normal people out there that have those 5 friends that they've been around for a little bit, generally they're within plus or minus their 10% of their fitness range and plus or minus 10% of their actual income. And when I ask people, are they okay with that? They generally say, no, of course not. This is not okay. But so it's nice to know the fact that if you're around like-minded people, if you're around people that are higher level than you always want to be the worst person in the room. You always want to have higher level mentors. You want to have them succeed in business. But of course you want that, right? But on top of that, relationships and also their health, because you can automatically look at someone, how they're taking care of themselves. And that's the ultimate version of how they're going to take care of others around them. And so it all starts with health inside, and then it starts about their immediate people around them, wife or husband. And then from there, it stems out into this thing we call influence or impact. Too many people are looking at money, but they're not looking at these other variables, because when you have mentors like Calvin and Michael speaking into your life, that actually imparts something to you. And so after coaching 600 and something men personally, we've had tens of thousands of people now get connected to our company. Through going through all that, I realized that we've been serving this high-level community of men that have been transforming their lives, but as soon as they get through the health part, now all of a sudden they're back into everyday life and they don't have that like-minded community. Because the people that endorsed our company the most were the people that were already healthy. Because they're like, I love that lifestyle, health, business, relationships. People that were unhealthy were like, oh, I guess I got to go figure this thing out. And now we've created this crazy connection of men that are not only connecting in health, which is a great place to connect, but not only connecting in relationships and having like-mindedness in that area, and also transforming minds, because not everyone's arrived yet in those areas whatsoever. And then also business, and it creates this interlocking connection, almost like the 3 strands that the Bible talks about that are a lot harder to break. And so that these guys can not only graduate through their health, but also come around like-mindedly, just like Henry Ford, Herbert Hoover, Firestone, all the top entrepreneurs that came about around the 1900s era that created the most amount of success today. Literally, we would have lost World War II if those guys weren't around. We would have never invented any of the electronics that you're on right now. And so how would that have impacted the course of the world? And that's the type of group that we have right now, is a tight-knit group of brothers that are running together with one like-minded vision to become a prince put into a pauper situation will always become a prince again. It's a mindset. It's a way of being in life where the environment around you literally has to bow down to your authority, right, that you're walking in. Because we all know that we're walking in someone else's authority, and we get to be ambassadors of that. A pauper's mindset, if you put them as a king of the biggest castle ever out there on the planet, they'll ruin it right back down to rubble again and be a pauper. So it's not about arbitrage, making quick money. It's not what we're about. The brotherhood is all about how do we transform the man in a community where we have an atmosphere that we all adapt to that's operating at a high level, so that then no matter what situation we're all put in, we create success around us at a greater measure.
Awesome. Okay, one more topic. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. Okay, let's go back to where this all started. So, guys, if you saw it, Nicholas said he was broke just 4 or 5 years ago, right? Basically, and you maybe you can touch on based on that how you used to go to the store. You used to go to the lines and you'd stand in line waiting for someone to pay for you to eat, and how one decision from your spouse changed your whole mindset, changed where you didn't have the money to spend, but you knew that one moment, that one decision transformed what you sit, that chair you sit in, that thing that's behind you, what's happened. Why don't you talk about that just real quick?
Yeah, so I knew that I was never going to really work for someone else. I worked with my family's company, but even that was tough. I had to ask for equity. I was like, just something inside me was just like, I feel like I have a mission and an impact out there to really go out there and create something. I don't know why. But we know that that's not always the easiest thing to do. It's not the easiest route. And so I always went from this survival to stability point that we talk about here at Billion Dollar Body, where literally I remember being 18, 19 years old, I was going on mission trips all over the world, but they were all being funded by other people, and I didn't ask for anything. So one, I was attracting money, so I wasn't really ever fearful. I always knew where I was going. I knew exactly what I was going to do at 25. I knew exactly what I was going to do at 30. I've mapped out all the things that are happening, but that doesn't mean it happened easy, and it doesn't mean I didn't think that it was going to fail. I thought it was going to fail all the time. So I used to sit at cafes, and I would go with my friends, and I would sit there in line, and I would wait in line to get coffee, hoping that someone would buy me coffee because I just had no other way to get it. So I'd literally move out of the line. If I didn't get coffee, I'd go back in the front. I remember going to grocery stores, maxing out all my cards, being at 19 years old. My parents would have bought my food for me if I would have asked. But I was not about to take myself out of the situation that I had put myself in. So I'd sit there in the grocery store looking at my account, refreshing it, hoping that money would somehow get deposited in there. And I would just walk around the store hoping that someone would buy me food. It even got to the point where I had to spend $135 on rent, living with nine other people in a 3-bedroom place where I was sleeping on the floor in a sleeping bag for a month and a half, just to be able to get by. And I was just out there trying to figure out how to get by and how to get success rolling. Now, through that process, I ended up going and working with my dad. I was making $1,200 a month less than my current expenses. So my expenses at that point were $3,000. I was making around $1,200 to $1,800 a month. And those numbers don't add up. That's a negative thing. I was in negative balance. I was around $5,000 in debt at this point, at about 22 years old, 21 years old. From that process, I ended up figuring out that I could go out there, find free signs on the side of the street of people's free furniture. And after I'd already sold everything out of my house, I sold everything. Nothing was in there besides a bed and a sofa. I even sold the lamps. I was selling everything. Sitting on the floor, I didn't care. And then I started finding stuff in the dumpster, and people would throw away their golf bags, and I'd throw them online and I'd sell them. And I'd find stuff on the side of the road and I'd sell them. I'd figure out jobs I could do on the side and I'd go and hustle them. And it got to the point where I finally actually worked off $5,000 in debt while making half the money of my expenses. From there, my wife met this guy named Cole Hatter. Cole Hatter was amazing. We learned that he sold $120 million from stage in 4 years, and we were interviewing him for a summit. We had still been working our health business, but for some reason we couldn't get anything to sell. We had all the expertise. We had all the certifications. We had spent all the time, tens of thousands of hours working, submitting to other people. My wife worked at the #1 health institute in America for 2.5 years, but still, for some reason, nothing was actually going our way. Still was only making half of our expenses. She got invited to a business conference that was $700 investment, and she actually could bring me as a guest because Cole, we knew that we were on it, invited him on our show, and we had interviewed him similar to this right here. And so he invited us to come, but the thing is right before it happened, this seems to always happen, is that right before your biggest breakthrough, there seems to have the biggest thing pushing back on your heart. There's some obstacle that you just can't get over right before you're about to have the biggest breakthrough. Some people say it's the darkest before the dawn. And right before that event happened, I didn't have these solid group of people. I didn't have the mentors in my life. And so I let this excuse get to me, even though it is a good one. My dad got into a motorcycle accident where he crushed the whole left side of his body, collapsed lung, shattered all of his ribs, broke his shoulder, tore his rotator cuff, ripped off his bicep tendon, shattered his scapula into 32 pieces and his collarbone into 32. And he was in the hospital for a week and a half and had a bunch of surgeries. He still to this day has a what's it called? A thing in his stomach right now that's like blowing up the size of a football, literally still from that one accident. And so because of that one accident, I couldn't go to this event. It's a great excuse. I don't know if I would let myself do it to this day. I think I would have gone if I would have had mentors and the people around me because it was so life transformational. And when you miss things like that, you don't know what you miss. But luckily, my spouse, my wife, went with her mom to this event. She sat through the entire thing. I was sitting there slaving away with my dad's $300,000 of hospital bills that I was paying for, my dad's rent that I was paying for through the business, my dad's child support that I was paying for, took on the burdens of the whole family, and I was out there working my face off 15 hours a day, only taking partial commission from each job that I actually physically did. No hours, no nothing. I made $4 an hour if you broke down my time. I get a call from my wife. It's just 3 days later since she left. And she said, honey, there's this group. It's this thing. I really think we should do it. They want me to call you because they won't let me join because we don't make enough money and they think it's a bad idea. But I know we're supposed to do this. And me being the right husband, that the way that I would want to respond as a husband and wives would want to respond to their husbands that I saw Michael and Calvin's wives do, I'm so impressed by, is I said, great, do it. Whatever it is, do it. Because I knew that I had trust in that moment that my wife was going to make a great decision. So my wife got me to pay off the rest of our credit card, because this was before I knew you could raise your credit limit with one phone call, paid off our credit card and swiped the entire $5,000 for one event, one 3-day event for $5,000 in a small community that we could be with. 6 months went by and got nothing from the investment. I wanted a refund, but it just wasn't in my heart to ever do that. I could just never, ever refund anything. It's just not who I am, because that's my fault for not going out there and getting the results. I knew this at that point. But I hadn't gotten anything. I was still out there cleaning carpets. I was still going into debt, not paid off one payment. Nothing happened. That one thing got me a relationship with that one guy named Cole Hatter that I've spent tens of thousands of dollars with a year. I'll spend over $40,000 on groups just this 1 year. And just from that one experience, we went to not only over 40x our one investment from the referrals that we got from that one group, which made us over $200,000 just from that one group, but it's grown our company to a pace where sometimes not only do we do 6-figure years, which we've done for the last couple of years, not only have we done 6-figure months, which are awesome, that's a great goal, but we've actually gone to the point where we've hit 6-figure days of volume in the company. And that's how we're trying to grow and sustain and keep going on. So now because of that, I'm able to take that and pour it into other people. I just felt like I never wanted to do that. Never wanted to teach one person. And I felt like God said it was time right before this event. And I changed everything that I was going to do to build something that now I call the brotherhood, where I work for Michael. I work for Calvin. I'm their paid employee now for 12 months to create some amazing results and to connect them to the network that I've spent about $140,000 to create just of investments so far. That's not including food and all these other things that I've bought and invested in different things. So just that one investment, and life can change just like that in a second with the right investments. And I've really noticed that if anyone gets things for free, they rarely ever appreciate them, and it rarely builds a connection. It's like where your money is, your heart is also. That's great, but where money flows, attention goes as well. Like there's just so many different quotes out there that people use, and it's tested over time. It's so impressive that literally the people that sacrifice the most to make an actual payment on something usually end up utilizing it the most. And I've just seen this time after time again. So my friend Russell, real quick, someone that I pay, it's $25,000 cash only. If you don't have cash, don't get in. You pay him, Russell Brunson, and he told me, he said, listen, I've let people into this group for free. Friends, family, people that are doing great. I just said, come in and just attend and do your thing. 0% success rate so far. He almost has 100% success rate with 100 people every year that pay $25,000. Which one's a better deal? So sometimes you have to think about that with people is what's going to be a better deal? $0 for 0% success rate, or someone who pays you $100,000 that gets them a lot more than that. And I really think that that's a true sign of leadership as well.
Wow. Whew, brother. Thank you. I'm gonna before you go, I'm gonna bring Calvin on in a minute, but I just want to say something about you that I'm grateful for. You know, one of the things that I've realized and me and Lisa have realized in our life that we don't believe in coincidence. We pray for divine appointments, and it's kind of funny. We believe that we're in Nicholas's and Amanda's life too, to impart some of what wisdom we have too. And so iron sharpens iron. We you know what? We really get to do life with them. We're excited to do life with Nicholas and Amanda. We're excited that we're all at different, I could be dad or whatever, but the funny thing is that he has the heart to be moldable and teachable and to surround himself around those type of people. And, I told him this a couple of times that, I agree with that. We are the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, because I preached a message at my church a couple of weeks ago on discipleship. And I believe that's what we're doing. We're discipling and Jesus had 12 people and he had 3 that he was very close to. Like, I think a lot of people don't think about it like this, but God was showing me this the other day. Like, even when they came down the Mount of Transfiguration and Jesus leaned over to Peter and said, don't tell anybody what just happened until, it's like even though he was God, he was man. He had emotions. He had people that he needed to be in his life to get him through that. And I'm grateful that you have accepted Lisa and I into the brotherhood. We're honored.
You can see me right now. She's right over there.
We'll have to say hi. She's right there.
Hi, how are you?
So she can see you. She's been sitting here the whole time. She's been beside me the whole time, but she just came home from work, and you know how women are when they come home from work, they don't want to look on TV or whatever, right? But so, brother, thank you so much for your heart. Thank you so much for just being on, and brother, you're awesome. I'm excited to connect with you, and just thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it as well. If anyone has any questions for me or anything later, you can just
we'll do that. I will. Let me just get Calvin on here for a minute. Cal, where are you, bro? I don't know if I can. I'm gonna try to bring you on. Hold on one second. Oh, there you are. There you are, my brother.
I didn't want anybody to see me picking my nose while I was listening.
I had a little thing pulled up, but I'll just kind of read it to y'all. I have my boy Calvin got the ability to go with me to. Did it come up on the screen, Calvin?
Yep.
It did. Okay, hold on one second. Oh, there it is. Booyah. Okay, we're good now. You guys like that picture? Calvin always clowns around on some pictures.
Is that Nicholas in the background?
No, it's another guy in the background, but you can see Calvin is my boy. It's kind of funny how I did the phone call that got Calvin involved in the business. And so I just want him in the next 5 or 10 minutes here just to kind of, what up, Jay? Just to jump on and you can see his credentials. He's from Louisiana, who dat nation. Former head strength. You guys can see all his stuff. He's married to his wife, Court. I just didn't finish spelling it out. So just give me
because black folks will take names and jack them up all kind of ways. So it's Courtney, Naye.
I actually, you know what's funny? I copied and pasted it over, and I don't know how that got on there like that, which is really funny.
It's all good. It's all good.
But so Calvin had the chance to go with me to the $1 Billion Body event. Just a great experience. We got to talk a lot. We went to bed early every night because we wanted to get up the next morning and be alarm and alive. And so I just asked him just 5 to 10 minutes, just a couple takeaways and to confirm to you guys so you guys can hear how important it is to connect with like-minded people. Because Calvin and I have been successful in business, but to take it to the next level, we learned that we needed to be connected to like-minded people. So I wanted him just to come on and share what his experience was about connecting to like-minded people.
Yeah, well, definitely appreciate you having me on and whatnot. And Nicholas, of course, always knocking it out of the park. Is just amazing. It's funny. I'm reading right here. I just posted on my Dominate Daily page exactly what we were talking about earlier. You're the average of the 5 closest people to you. If you hang out with 5 losers, you'll be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 driven high achievers, you'll be the 6th. Choose your crew wisely. And it just resonates with what exactly what Nicholas is saying. It's crazy because if you look at his organization and his business and what he's doing with this brotherhood, it's so parallel. Business is business, whether it's fitness, whether it's network marketing, whatever it is, there's certain fundamental truths that go along with it. You know, your association, the people you're around, who you're learning from, who you're getting stretched by. And it's funny when Nicholas said about the moment where, you know, he didn't really have food, you know, the money to purchase food and eat like he was supposed to. I had a moment like that when I was in college where I could have called mom and dad and said, hey, you know, I need a few dollars. But I said I needed to grow up. I needed to learn how to hustle, how to live, how to take care of myself without having a backup plan when it comes down to that, without having to fall back on it. And so I learned how to hustle. I learned how to work hard. And some of us need to have that stretch to push us outside of this. And so it's funny, you know, when you start off with business and, you know, those who look at, okay, what does it cost to get in? Oh, that's a certain amount. You know, Mike and I can tell you about when you're running you're running a traditional business, or any of who have run a traditional business, the cost that it takes. And it costs me $35 to $4,000 every month to run my gym. And so when I look at an initial, what does it take to get going? There's a stretch in a lot of people's mind when it comes down to entrepreneurship. But then Mike and I, we go to this event this weekend. Just real quick, I knew Nicholas a week less than Mike. Mike called me up and said, hey, dude, check this guy out. I got connected with him and check out this event. And he's like, I'm going. I'm like, you going? I mean, they actually was sold out the VIP portion of it. And I said, get with Nicholas. See, if I'm going big. So I need to go with the VIP deal. See if he can open it up for me, because I ain't going unless I can go to the next level. So it pushed me. I know, just like Nicholas said, if you're not invested into it, you're not gonna perform like you need to. You're not gonna be committed to it. And so I wanted to be fully committed, and basically within that same night, I bought the ticket and got on that plane and got there. And so now I'm in a room where, you know, in fitness, we stretch people out of their comfort zone, and all that. People can work out on their own, but when they have a coach, they have a fitness trainer, somebody can push them to go to the next level. Somebody that's going to hold them accountable, that's going to get that extra rep or extra set, or push them another heavier weight, whatever it takes to really reach those goals, to attain their goals. So the same thing when it comes down to this, we're in a room of people who are saying, I want to give 90% of my income away and live off of 10. I want to make $2 million a year so I can live off of 1 and give away the other 1 million. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about, serving leadership in our group, in our organization, what we do in this company. We're here to be servant leaders. You know, so we learn and want to be stretched to the next level. So I know being a part of this group with Nicholas is going to push my entrepreneur mindset to another level. And so that means if Mike and I, and the things that we're invested in, we're making these investments so that you guys can benefit from it. So we're making these investments just like Nicholas did to help other people get better. It's just the same cycle of things that have been proven to work in business. So we follow the same pattern so we can be better and we can stretch and pull our team when we all rise to the top. And that's kind of the mindset we have to have is, okay, what is stretching me? What am I doing for personal development? What am I doing? Have I been kind of on the same page? Have I been coasting for the last, few months, few years, whatever it is? Or is it time for me to get pushed to another level? Because we always say this in our LifeVantage business, we only grow as much as we grow as a person. The business only grows as we grow as a person. So if we're looking for ways to grow ourselves, the business is going to follow right behind it. And so I just think that the things that we're doing, what are you doing to invest in yourself? We say, oh, this is what it takes. How many books have you bought? How many seminars? How many different things that you're doing that's going to pour into your mindset? It all starts in the mindset as far as how we build this business, how we build ourselves as a person, because the better we get at LifeVantage, the better we get at life. I guarantee you that. And so if it wasn't for iron sharpening iron and having Nicholas and having Mike Hewitt, having Zach Page, and having these different people that are around, surrounding us that push us to be better, we're gonna stay stagnant. So I think that's one of the biggest keys and the takeaways that I even had from this weekend. But it's the same thing when we go to, he said, an event. When we just came off of Elite Academy, same thing. We've got people who are ahead of us that are stretching us to get to that level. And then people say, oh, that's amazing. That's great how they did that. Are you willing to do what they did to get there? Are we willing to put in the work to necessarily get there? And that's all it takes. Business, no matter what kind of way, what it is, it's all about a few simple principles. It's cash flow, it's time management, it's duplication, it's duplication and delegation. How do you do that and grow? And so you can do certain things by yourself, but how can you build that up on the next level? So that's kind of what I see with this, Mike. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to really address, but
right. That's awesome. That's perfect. Hey, Nicholas, can you turn your camera back on if you get a chance? I just want to see if anybody wants a question. You can keep yours on too, Cal.
Okay.
Nicholas, are you still there with us?
It says that you turned it off. You'll have to turn it back on.
Maybe I just have to ask you to turn it back on. Hold on a second. You see him on here. All right, hold on one second, Nicholas. Oh, there you are. All right, you should come on now, I think. Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
So, guys, if you want to type down in the chat box, or you just want to unmute yourself, don't everybody unmute themselves at once, but we have enough time for a little bit of questions. If you have a question for Nicholas or even Calvin, let's do that. We may or may not, but let's just take a couple minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, and see if anybody has a question. If you want to just put it down in the chat box, or you want to just unmute yourself, does anybody have a question or a comment? Usually we get a lot of shy people, but oh, Nicholas, you want to hear what Lisa just said? Did you hear that?
What was it?
Mrs. Huey has a question. She says, how come it's only for men and not for women?
Yeah, that's a great question. One, I didn't want to sit there and lead a group of 100 women on a retreat by myself either, because that just felt like a little bit weird.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
And it's called brotherhood.
Yeah.
She wants to know when Amanda's going to have the female version of the sisterhood. Is she right there?
She's over here. She said she's going to create a Facebook group for all the women that have men in the brotherhood.
The wives of the brotherhood.
This is it's actually called $1 Billion Babes.
Nice.
That's the name of the group. It's already been there for a while.
Nice.
And it's totally free because we really believe in all inclusive. Really, the success is all part of the family. Man's just the leader of the house. We thought if we could change enough households, we could change the world. Whereas women typically already go out there and they're really great at going out there and improving their life and getting better. Usually the man is the one that has a lot of resistance in doing that. So we thought if we could break down the man, we know the woman is already programmed to want to go out there and achieve and grow and do new things. That's why they're always in the gym trying a new class. And the guys are at home like, oh, I don't need a trainer. I don't need help. And so if we could break that down, then we could transform the family and get the dad on board, get the husband on board, and transform the guy before he even has a
All right. So I got one of my boys, my boy Chris Goodrow. We have a kind of an inside joke. One of our mentors calls him Godrow because it's not even spelled like that. It's actually spelled Goodrow. But Chris is in Toledo, Ohio. He's doing what we're doing because he knows what we have, and he's a regional director for a large dent company up in. So he kind of did what he did, but he does it to cars. He beats the inside of cars. And so, Chris, I know you have a question. Go ahead, brother. Why don't you ask? Are you there? There he is. What's up, bro?
Hey, I don't have a question. He asked who agrees Calvin's crushing it, and I just said hand up because Calvin does crush it.
Okay. All right.
I just disagreeing with him.
But maybe you had a question.
And which one was Jay?
No, we're good.
Jay's on there. Jalen's on there too. What's up, bro? I think he's on.
Oh, Jalen, awesome. I can.
What's up? Yeah, we just talk to each other.
Nice. No questions. Anybody have any questions down? You guys don't be scared. I know y'all are like there's a lot of people on here, but don't be scared. Does anybody have a question? If not, we'll just.
Any question that people ask, know that it's not just affecting you. Generally, someone else is thinking it as well, but they're too scared to ask us. Again, it's all about that leadership. Michael made a decision to come out to our event, made a decision. Who decided to invest first, Michael or Calvin?
Me.
Michael, right? So, again, these are things that are now affecting Calvin because he went out there and did an action first. Generally, the person who does it first, look at him. The person who does it first typically gets the most hits, right? Most people that can say, why'd you do that? Or it's always the person that's innovating that takes all the arrows in the back. The first person that sailed over here from the other side of the world got tons of arrows in the back, and now it's freedom. But it takes that first person to do that.
All right, let's see. Maybe here's a question. Okay. Michael said, I can see that the mindset is totally entrepreneur and helping others. Nicholas, you want to comment on that?
Well, I'll comment on it. Yeah, I mean, one thing I know is that we're transformed by the renewing of our mind, and that again, it comes from if we can figure out rather than trying to figure out how to make our whole external world perfect, really figure out how we can transform our internal world that then shapes our external world. It makes life so much easier because then you're doing things without trying anymore, and that's really what I think mentors and groups have done for me. People ask me, why do I keep investing with Cole? Why do I keep investing with Cole? Now he's $15,000 for a day. Why do I keep doing stuff like that? And it's all because I have access to him. But it's all because of the fact that there's things that people have that I want. And you can't fully achieve your destiny on the earth while working at below your potential. And that could be with just figuring out what supplements, what foods, what things you put in your body. Because physically, you need to be able to go out there with energy. If you're too tired to get on the call or too tired to write a question, then we're not able to fully operate. And so it all starts with mindset for sure, and also heart set, I guess you could say. You need a transformation of the heart to have the motives to transform the mind. Yeah. And then the mind, you'll transform everything around your world.
It's totally cool because we had this call yesterday with Cole, and I can't wait for Lisa to listen to it just because, Nicholas decided, I just sprung it on my wife that we were giving $500 to Cole's mission. So I just kind of sprung that on as we were sitting here, but just, but you know what? One of the things that we've learned is that Michael just said it, about giving, and Lisa and I have understood that you can never outgive God. And we've always been an increase. I told Nicholas this, even, now that a lot of you people in here know my story and know that I spent all our money in the last couple of years. So, but now we have a different mindset. We have a mindset that two are better than one. And Nicholas understands that point, and so does Calvin. And like one of the things I saw that Calvin posted a video on Nicholas's website about one of the things that has allowed him since he came back home is to connect better with his wife, and that his wife and him have become, a lot stronger. And Lisa and I have been just really feeling encouraged by each other that we're gonna probably move here in November. We are gonna move in November, but we're deciding where. And I'm gonna let Lisa. hopefully it's kind of funny. We were all fasting as some of the people from $1 Billion Body this week were fasting together. Nicholas was included in that. And we were like, fasting about where to move. And my wife was telling people, don't say one certain thing because she kind of knows where I want to move and I know where she wants to move. But we just kind of, we want to go where, that's it. That's the thing. We kind of know, we want to know where God, but we're grateful that we got the opportunity to connect. So if there's nobody else out there that's like Nicholas said, is brave enough to ask a question, you go ahead. One more thing. Go ahead.
The biggest thing I believe right now is that when life's good, it's easy to be like excited about things when life's good. It's a lot harder when quote unquote to everyone else life's bad. And if you live in America, done deal. Your life's already good. Sorry, even if you're sleeping on the floor, it's still better than 99% or 90% of the world. So I have no sympathy there, and there's so much opportunity around. There's cans everywhere. Recycle them. Figure it out. But the thing is that all the stories that we tell now, I always want to preface the fact that was also the worst time of my life ever. And I never thought, I knew it would change, but I didn't know when. There was always the fear of every time I had success that I was going to fall back into failure. There was always this thing that would make me feel like I was going to have to go back to where I started. And so if there's any type of place where you don't feel like you're where you want to be, know that I'm not either. That's why I'm on a call and I stayed here and listened for the rest of it, because like maybe I'll pick something up that someone says. So every story that's now cool once was the worst time of my life. Now you just have to ask yourself, if you're in a place in your life right now where there's pressure on you and you can't do something that you want to do or create the success that you want, are you going to go and create a story that then can inspire others, or are you going to allow that to take you over and defeat you? And I believe right now you have the power inside of you right now to accomplish every good work, every single thing that you would want to do. Everything you can dream up, you're able to do. I 100% believe. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Now you just got to figure out if you're going to do those things that it takes to actually get it done. And that's how you just excel really quickly. Luckily, you have leaders. Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. That was pretty easy for people. And they're like, how do I do this thing? Just follow me and just kind of do the same things. And that's what I've just duplicated as well. I told Cole, he reminds me a lot of that. So I followed what Cole does. Easy? Was it easy paying for everyone's food? I've never seen Cole's food bought for him once. Never. This last week, we spent like $20-something thousand on people's food. Is that easy? No. But the thing is that Cole has done it every time. He said, Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. You just have to do what these people are doing if you want to get what they've got, like Calvin's doing over there as well.
That's funny you said that. My buddy Chris just said, I treat my business like everything is gone every day and I have to start over. And to me, that's a pretty powerful quote, because when you do that, you don't have an expectation of what others are going to do. You have that expectation of what you're going to do. And one of the things I like about Nicholas is he just gave all of these examples of wanting to become the man that God called him to be, and to be the man not only for himself but for his wife, because we as men, we are pushed. I know I saw this from Nicholas too. He's pushed into being a man to kind of allows. Our wives push us into that role, because I believe that's what they need to do. They're our rock, and Nebuchadnezzar, what Lisa just said, you can always tell. One of the things, and I'll finish with this, is I like Nicholas said, he mentioned it, I can't remember where we talked about it, but he said for almost 2 years he was locked up with his Bible. And, when you think about that, what a better place to be locked up of in the times that God used you in, those very times where, that was when you were just a new Christian. You became that Christian, and you just understood that that's what it is. And really, $1 Billion Body is just a ministry. Life, total health experience is a ministry. Fitness and strength is just a ministry. So, brother, thank you so much for spending some time. Tell Amanda that Lisa and I love you guys, and I know she can hear us, but we're honored to arms with you guys. And so thanks everybody for being on the call tonight. Guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Tomorrow what time is it? In about 2 hours I get to turn 49. So Lisa's off tomorrow, so we're going to celebrate, and actually we're gonna work. So you guys have a good one. Thank you guys. Thanks Calvin. Thanks everybody for being on. God bless y'all.